Welcome to the Blue Moon Garden. I garden in Zone 7B in Normandy, France. This is a fantastic time of the year, the end of spring. Everything is still so fresh, so lush, and there is color everywhere. I'd like to share this with you. Enjoy.
I've been chasing beauty and pain to go, but I found the real me in clouds of smoke, and I had a revelation. I should really have more patience, but then I look at the time and I notice I'm behind.
In the last video, I promised you peonies were coming soon, and here they are. The first one to bloom for me was this aptly named Beautiful Senorita. Her early blooming even happened before the end of the bearded irises, and I was so happy to finally see her synchronize with Iris Acoma, a wonderful companion that delicately made her shine even more without blowing his own horn. Alas, we've had heavy rains and she didn't last long. In the same border, she has a neighbor that opens on the sweetest buds and shares a lot of her features, but blooms later, which allows me to enjoy this kind of pink skirt filled with light petticoats for a few more days. Bowl of Beauty looks like she's the younger sister, a little smaller in size, a little less fluffy, but oh so charming. So here's a little trick. If you really love a flower that only blooms for a short time, try to find another cultivar that is very similar but blooms at a different time, and you'll double your happiness. At the same time, Gloire de Charles Gombault develops large blooms in a lighter pink with inner petals that literally overflow. Her name means the glory of Charles Gombault, who happens to be her breeder. And I can understand why he felt so strongly about this marvel. And because just one light pink peony wasn't enough, I also got two others with a few differences in the blooming schedule and color: Katryn Fonteyn and Raspberry Sundae. Here you can see the 4 stages of evolution of Raspberry Sundae, and I'm discovering this wonderful thing about some peonies. They change so much it feels like you have different varieties on the same plant. Katryn Fonteyn grows in a slightly shadier position and could almost be confused with a rose if it wasn't for the foliage. She grew much taller than all the other varieties, making it hard to support her correctly, maybe because she was trying to reach for more sun. The last peony to bloom for me is Avalanche. She's white, but sometimes seems to blush, and it's such a sweet trait of her personality. Although I love white flowers, I tend to avoid them because Normandy is a very rainy region and white blooms turn brown in seconds, but I couldn't resist her. Although bearded irises finished blooming very soon after peonies started, it's not the case for other species of irises that prolong the season, accompanying the peonies and even keeping their blooms after them. The sibirica irises offered us a great show this year, starting with Bundle of Joy and Lavender Fair. If you're into purple and lavender colors, you'll fall in love with them. Their stems and leaves are much thinner than the bearded irises. The flowers are smaller but quite numerous on each plant. Some are more double than others, such as Imperial Opal. It is the latest one to bloom, and its shape is my favorite, especially with the wrinkled buds that look like crepe paper. The only caveat being that its edges are likely to turn brown after the rain. The darkest one I have is Concord Crush, a very elegant flower that seems to have a gilded edge. Matching perfectly with the irises are the colors of Alliums. I only have purple or white Alliums. Mount Everest is tall and white. It also was the earliest to bloom for me this year. It's reliable and looks beautiful even after the blooms are spent. Later comes Ambassador, my favorite one for the density of its bole and its deeper purple. But I suggest you plant it in the middle or back of your border if you don't want to see its decaying leaves, because they're large and won't go unseen. The good news is you can totally cut the leaves of Alliums without harming the plant and the quality of the blooms. Other pretty Alliums are Purple Sensation with the hottest color. It is the daintiest one in my garden, and I have the feeling it multiplies with time but comes back much smaller the years following the initial planting. Globemaster and Gladiator are fantastic Alliums. I planted both but have a hard time telling which is what because their colors are a bit similar. If you know how to differentiate them, I would appreciate your input. One that cannot be confused with others is Lucky Balloons. Much shorter and with a very subdued shade of pink that will suit those who don't like saturated colors. But be ready to cut its leaves because they're not very pretty. Enough with the Alliums for now. It's the first year that I see Geum Mai Tai blooming in my garden, and it has offered us such a fantastic show this season. All you need to do is deadhead it before it goes to seed in order to keep it flowering. It looks fantastic with any blue or purple plant. And here's also a match that really made me happy. Nandina Gulf Stream with Geum Mai Tai when the sun sets. What a beauty! Amongst the plants that produced a striking show this late spring was the Ceanothus. I cannot tell you for sure the name of the cultivar because it was here when we arrived. If I had to guess after checking on the internet, I'd say maybe it's Victoria. Anyhow, this incredible shrub keeps its glossy dark foliage all year round, blooms in sun and in another much shadier position in my garden, and is buzzing all day long with all kinds of bees, especially the one planted in full sun. I know the evergreen Ceanothus are less frost-hardy than the deciduous ones, but this evergreen one is just fine in our Zone 7B as long as it has good drainage. Ceanothus are known to grow happily in coastal regions in poor, even sandy soil. But here I'm on clay, and it's okay as long as you avoid wet spots. This year I've made many changes in one of my borders because I realized it sometimes looked dull or even messy. So I decided to plant shrubs that would bring long-lasting interest through their structure and foliages. Having lost a beautiful Japanese maple called Fire Glow last winter, I was craving for a plant that would give me this sunset blaze effect. I thus decided to move this magnificent red 9-bark called Little Angel so that the setting sun could hit its leaves in the evening. And I must say it's one of my favorite shows in the garden. It remains quite small, about 1 meter high, that's 3 feet, so you can make him shine by installing a higher shrub with contrasting foliage right behind him. The very dark elderberry Black Lace, also called Eva, will grow much taller and offer a fantastic backdrop for the small red shrub. Black Lace is really a magnificent shrub. His leaves are so beautifully dissected and his color is so deep, especially in the sun. As many dark foliages, it will turn a bit greener if installed in a shadier spot. His airy light pink flowers bring an amazing contrast at the end of spring. Talking about contrast, I also went at the opposite side of the spectrum looking for very light shades of white or yellow. The lowest part of my border has a tendency to collect water, so the choice of a dogwood seemed good in this position. Cornus alba elegantissima can equally well play wingman or be a star. The one you see here behind the red Japanese maple was planted just 1 year ago in another border, and see how large it has become. If you prune it hard at the end of winter, new shoots will emerge in the most beautiful red color. Glowing in the background, you can see the yellow foliage of Catinus golden lady. I haven't seen it bloom yet, but just this round golden foliage that illuminates the border is enough to please me. As always, I'll put a compilation of my favorite images at the end of this video, and since I'm already working on another film just about roses and clematis, I'll also add a sneak peek of what's coming next on the channel. I hope they embellish your day with color and happiness.